I want to get a word in from Ambassadors Katju and Sajanar on this as well. Ambassador Katju, to you first. The African Union announcement is a big one. Obviously these are not simple matters. They take a lot of time to put together. First of all, how the African Union integrates into the existing G20 is also something that will have to be seen. There are many other pulls and pressures. There's China, there's Russia, there's the Gulf. There are all these factors, going into it. How do you interpret it, sir?
I think the African Union announcement has been a remarkable diplomatic, I would even say, use the word maneuver, because it came right at the beginning.
Yes.
So it was an extremely astute move. But Shiv, if you permit me.
Yes.
I'm just going through the text of the Prime Minister's remarks. And I think he has very skillfully indicated what he thinks about the continuing war in Ukraine.
Interesting.
Let me read out
Yes, please.
the sentence. He says, after COVID-19, there is a big crisis of trust deficit in the world. This is the English translation.
Yes.
The war has deepened this trust deficit. Now, the word "the war" here can only imply
the Ukraine.
The Ukraine.
Conflict. Yeah.
And what does he then say? He says, when we can defeat COVID, we can also achieve victory over this trust deficit crisis. Now, this deficit crisis obviously are again code words for the war.
Correct, correct.
So, apart from the African Union story, the other big story to my mind is the manner in which he has brought in the war and correlated it with the trust deficit in one sense he is indicating that this is not the time for the world to be divided, which is part of the theme, one earth,
yes,
one world, one family, one future. But it is also saying that, look, this war must come to an end. Because he's saying that if the COVID could be defeated, and that has caused, COVID could be defeated, then this trust deficit, which has been exacerbated by the war, because he says the war has deepened this trust deficit,
can also
then
be
that can be bridged.
Yeah, yeah.
So it is a plea to the contending parties that, look, the world cannot afford this. Please end it. So I think these are very, very significant words. One last sentence, if you permit me.
Please.
He is referring to it in an elliptical manner. But it is a reference all the same. And apart from, again, I'm sorry if I'm repeating myself, apart from the AU story, if you see these three sentences are the substance of what he has been pushing and what Indian diplomacy has been pushing over the years.
I'm going to pull out the part that you've quoted, Ambassador Katju. I'm going to pull that out so our viewers can hear it as well. Abhishek and Gaurav, good to have them both with us, because as you know, ambassadors, both of these guys were in Ukraine last year. They were reporting from there. They spent the longest time there, bravely reporting from the most dangerous parts of Ukraine. Ambassador Sajanar, bringing you in on this as well. This is amazing. I just want to tell our viewers that this is the benefit of having professional veteran diplomats here on our coverage. The reason for it is, they are not just talking heads, as you can see. Certainly not the ones on India Today. Ambassadors Katju and Sajanar are people who've been there on the front lines of diplomatic missions, and they are able to read between the lines. Nowhere did the Prime Minister mention Ukraine, but what you've just heard Ambassador Katju do is interpret and bring out the meaning of it. And I think that's as big, perhaps, as what has been announced as far as the African Union is concerned. Ambassador Sajanar, you want to add to that? Ukraine was what the Prime Minister meant when he was talking about the trust deficit.
Yes, absolutely right. I agree with what Ambassador Vivek Katju has said. And, I'd like to, let me take it a little forward. Last year in September, I think it was just a year shade less than a year when Prime Minister Modi spoke to President Putin and he said this is not an era of war. I think we have been seeing the increasing discomfort of India as far as the continuation of the war is concerned, Shiv.
Okay.
And in that context, the fact that he uses the word yudh, war, and you see, this has never been used, in my view, either by India. Definitely, Russia has projected it as a special military operation. It has never been said. You would see any statements by our friends from Russia. No one has ever mentioned that it is a war. For us, for the Prime Ministers to say that it is war, and the war, we must stop this, we must stop the conflict, we must get over this crisis, I think this further enhances the discomfort that India is having at the continuation of this war, and something that needs to be done. Now, I take it that this is not the forum, G20 is not the forum to seek a solution to the conflict that is taking place. At the moment, we are only looking at finding a formulation as to how to reflect it so that we can pilot our joint declaration there. But I think this is an important indication of where India is coming in from.
Yeah, so I mean, this is also an indication.
Permit me to...
Yes, add to it, please, sir. Please.
I think what Mr. Ambassador Sajjanar has said...
Ashok is good enough.
Ashok and Vivek and Ashok. I think that's the way we've always called ourselves.
Yes, indeed.
Now, but he has appealed not only to my mind, to Ukraine and Russia. What does he go on to say? As G20 president, India appeals to the world to change this global trust deficit into confidence on each other. It is time to walk together.
Can I play that bite out, Ambassador Katju, before you finish your point? Do you want to finish it first?
No.
Let's just play it out. Let's just play it out so that our viewers can hear it. Then you tell us your interpretation, and then we'll go to Gaurav and Abhishek. Let's just play out where the Prime Minister talked about trust deficit. This is that breaking bit where the Indian Prime Minister is talking about Ukraine, a clear message that India is not shying away from talking about Ukraine at the G20. In fact, it's in the Prime Minister's opening address. Take a look at this.
Friends, कोविड-19 के बाद विश्व में एक बहुत बड़ा संकट विश्वास के अभाव का आया है। युद्ध ने इस ट्रस्ट डेफिसिट को और गहरा किया है। जब हम कोविड को हरा सकते हैं तो हम आपसी विश्वास पर आए इस संकट पर भी विजय प्राप्त कर सकते हैं। आज G20 के प्रेसिडेंट के तौर पर भारत पूरी दुनिया का आह्वान करता है कि हम मिलकर सबसे पहले इस ग्लोबल ट्रस्ट डेफिसिट को एक विश्वास, एक भरोसे में बदलें। यह हम सभी के साथ मिलकर चलने का समय है और इसलिए सबका साथ, सबका विकास, सबका विश्वास, सबका प्रयास का मंत्र हम सभी के लिए एक पथ प्रदर्शक बन सकता है।
Ambassador Katju, yes, finish your point.
Appeal is not only to Ukraine and to Russia. It is also to their supporters.
Yeah.
Because I would interpret when he says, as the G20 president.
Yes.
Which means that I am taking a neutral view.
Correct.
As the president. India appeals to the world to change this global trust deficit into confidence on each other. It is time to walk together.
Correct.
So he's saying that even supporters of the contending parties, look, we need to go together, we need to find a solution. So if you permit me to say, He's saying cool it.
Understood. Understood. Very, very interesting. Yeah, these are the layers that come off when you look closely at these speeches. The messages don't always have to be completely obvious and in your face. They're subliminal. Yeah, those who need to understand them will definitely understand them. And that really is what diplomatic messaging is all about.